Okay, so now we have another one. This one, if you notice, we have x squares and we have y squares. For this would be a good candidate for elimination. The reason why is because we've got the same powers. Elimination is good when you have the same powers on the x's or the y's. And you don't want to do substitution because then that involves square roots and plus or minus square roots. That's going to be more complicated. So we're going to do this one just strictly by elimination. So you need to eliminate either the x squares or the y's. It doesn't matter which one you want to eliminate. I'm going to choose to eliminate the x squares. The numbers that are in front of here, I have a 2 and I have a 1. So the smallest number that both 1 and 2 will go into will be 2. So 2 is going to be my least common multiple. I want to make one of them positive 2 and one of them negative 2, so that way when I add them together I'll get a 0. For the first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to multiply that by negative 2. So I'm multiplying negative 2 through the entire first equation. I'm going to do that because that way when I add it to the bottom equation, I'll have the negative 2x squared and positive 2x squared will cancel and it'll give me a 0. So I'm going to multiply the first one through by negative 2. I get negative 2x squared. Negative times negative is plus 2y squared. Negative times a 0, you get 0. So everything inside got multiplied by negative 2. Down below, you get 2x squared plus 3y squared equals 5. We didn't change that at all. Now we're going to add this together. So if we add that together, that cancels out. This one you get 5y squared equals 5. Divide both sides by 5 and you get y squared equals 1. Square root both sides, you get y equals plus or minus 1. So now we've gotten the y value, but we have to solve for the x value. To get the x value, you're going to put this y value back into either the first equation or second equation. That doesn't matter which one you want to use. First equation, numbers are smaller. I'm going to go ahead and use that. X squared minus y squared equals 0. And now we have two different things we're going to look for. First, we're going to look for y equals 1, and then we'll put in y equals negative 1. We're going to put both of these individually into here, and we're going to get the corresponding x value. So first we'll put 1 into here. I get x squared minus 1 squared equals 0. And if we solve for that, you get x squared minus 1 equals 0. X squared was going to equal 1 if you add 1 to both sides. And then if you square root, you're going to get two answers. You get plus or minus 1. Both of them would make that equation true. So let's talk about how we would write our answer for this first one. When I got two different answers for x, but I got the same answer for y. So this is how you would write out your answer. You would write it as, when I put in x is 1, the x value goes first. When I have x is 1, I have a y value of 1. But I also got an x value of negative 1 as well. And negative 1 will also give me a y value of 1. So now I have, these are my first two answers. I'm going to do the same thing over here with y equals negative 1. I'm going to put negative 1 in there. And because I'm squaring it, what will happen is I'll get exactly the same equation as I have here. I'll get x squared minus, these two negatives don't cancel, but the one inside will. So I'll just get x squared minus 1 equals 0. So if you solve this, it's going to be exactly the same answer. X squared equals 0 was the same equation I had before. So when I solve that, I'm still going to get plus or minus 1 as my answers for x. So here's how you write these answers out. When x is equal to positive 1, we get negative 1 for y. And then when my x value is negative 1, I have a negative 1 for y. So this right here, this would be your entire answer. So if you're writing all that out, you basically you can kind of list them out this way, and you can put commas in between your answers. And so basically all four of them would be the points of intersection. You have basically a if you want to look at the graph of this, kind of just think of that. What it would be is you have a hyperbola here. Again, don't worry about what the graph looks like. That's kind of what the first equation would look like. The second one's going to be a shape that looks like this, kind of like an oval. And what's happening here is you end up getting 4 different points down there. So that's why you have 4 points of intersection, because of the way these two come together, that's how many points that you would have. So that's the reason why you have 4 answers on this one.